Welcome back. We're here at the GSL Code S. Great work tomorrow.
Yeah,
He's
really
in
well
the winner's
played.
match here.
The only game he lost, he just got scouted with a super all-in proxy. The other two games he played pretty phenomenally. Zest making some funny mistakes. You know, in game one, his macro was not on par with Mars, and then in game three, he just sent a bunch of zealots across the map. Didn't have a buffer for Maru's attack.
Yeah, he should have had at least some zealots at home to, sponge up damage. It's funny because Zest was playing really well up until that moment. In fact, I think Zest could have maybe won, but
I think so.
That was an example of one simple move that Zest made that cost him the game.
For sure. Now we're going into a completely different matchup entirely. It's going to be Soulkey here up against Deer. Soulkey, called by many the best Zerg player in the world right now. Extremely successful
Tasteless
player.
would call him that as well.
Yeah, I would too. I think he's the best Zerg player in the world right now. He 2-0'd Sora and Squirtle to get here to advance in first place in round 32 group.
I think Deer's going to have a tough match, but Deer, again, I think he's one of the more modest players in general.
Yeah, it's funny how he today was a little bit not that way, and said that he thought that, for example, Zest was the worst player in the group, and I'm really curious to see how well Deer is going to do, because he played, in my opinion, pretty off in the round of 32, barely got through.
Yeah.
And he's gone through a team change, right, so that could be a little bit stressful, moving around and getting adjusted to that. So he looks confident today, though, and he's like chanting to himself here.
Trying to get in the zone here.
Psyching himself up.
I totally respect.
If you look at this round of 32, he lost to Dark, right? Then he won against Younghwa. Poor Younghwa always loses in the round of 32.
Yeah, it's always so sad.
And then he beat Dark again in the rematch, 2-1, so that's how he got there. So very close series there with Dark.
I look at Deer. He's one of the newer players as far as the pantheon of top StarCraft players that we have nowadays. He's very new. I'm curious to see how long he'll stay around.
Yeah, people are asking,
solid style.
Is he like a one-hit wonder, as everyone's
we've seen a lot of players that become champions and then kind of fizzle out.
Look at Seed, for example.
Seed, a perfect example. Seed, the sneakiest Protoss around, but I mean, he can't make that last, right?
Yeah.
And very few players can. I mean, usually it's the players with the solid macro who occasionally incorporate cheese, kind of like we saw with MVP back in Wings of Liberty days. He was just solid. He had a lot of builds. He picked the builds right, and then he would cheese more, a little bit more than the average champion, which just made it tough for people to deal with.
Exactly. He became kind of like the most consistent StarCraft II pro we've ever had, I would say. Well, Deer lost to Dark and then barely beat him in the second round. Now he's playing against his best Zerg player in the world, most people are saying, who plays extremely well in Pro League. Decent record against Protoss. Not going to be easy.
It's time for our second best of three. The best Zerg in the entire world, Soulkey, goes up against Deer here. A PVZ, the winner, goes on to face one of the only Terrans left in the GSL, Maru. Let's see what happens.
2014 Hot 6 GSL Season 1 Round 16 Soulkey versus Deer.
So we'll have our two-player maps again.
Yeah, this map does have a big main here with a lot of different ways to come in there by blink or by drop. So we do see a lot of strategies employed by all the races here to try to utilize that.
Yeah, a lot of Warp Prism harass in this matchup specifically.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fourth base that you could take behind your natural, but you have to kill the ice that's there first, so that takes a really long time to take. So it's a base, if you have an army to kill the rocks for, something you might end up taking, but it's very difficult.
Yeah, if we get into late game, it can go for a very long time. If they get that little nook base. We've also seen that base actually not taken sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough to take that base if there's a lot of action going on. There's a lot of harassment.
Especially from some Zergs, we've seen them actually take that as the fifth base.
Yeah.
Because once they get the fourth up, the fifth comes pretty quickly after the fourth. But usually they got the fourth up, then the fifth, as long as they can cover everything, they can take that. So, and it's, of course, if you take that late as Zerg, then it's, you have a lot of minerals and gas for the late game that's guaranteed.
Yeah, if a Protoss player tries to take that base, he has to kill the ice, which means he has to commit a big amount of units to that, and usually the Zerg is the one who's attacking, so the Protoss can't really afford to possibly be out of position when the Zerg attacks. So see it a little bit less often for the Protoss. It's also a good base for the Protoss to attack if the Zerg takes it by Warp Prism, because the Zerg army has to walk around to defend that, so he's going to have to put a lot of static defense up, and if you just fly a Warp Prism over there, warp in 6 Zealots, you could do a lot of damage.
Protoss going in with the Cybernetics core very quickly to get that mothership core out, and as well as get his tech, so he can safely expand.
Yeah. Even got his Zealot there. He's actually going to send that down, get a little bit of information.
Yeah, though that's mostly there just to get the Zerg to make some extra lings early on. Because if he just tries to drone up, I can't talk today. I don't know what's going on. Have you noticed this? I've had several words that I've said where they're just like
What's
they're
funny
overlapping.
Is when you do this, at least this is what happens to me. After I do it like twice,
it's like
I start
my
getting
mouth
worried
is
about
tired.
it.
Yeah, no, it's like I start to overthink it.
Yeah, you start overthinking, then you just do it more, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, being able to talk is pretty important as a caster, but apparently I can't do it today.
Well, you're fine.
Thanks, Wolf. No, but what were we talking about before? I was going to make some point.
The Zealot forcing Zerglings.
Yeah, I mean, if the Zealot doesn't make enough Zerglings or any defense, necessary, then the Protoss can punish it. Now, with the Queens there, they don't have to make too many, but it's important to at least get the Zerg to have the defense out, so that way the Zerg don't get out of control with their greed.
Yeah. Well, these 4 Zerglings with the Zealot here, it's going to be tough to get in the main base. I don't think he's actually going to try for it. He's got too much distance to cover.
And now we've got the Stargate opening here, not yet scouted by the Zerg, but in a few moments it will be. There's an Overlord just to the left of that, and he does spot it now, turning around. He'll probably poke in there one more time to see what's being made out of the Stargate.
Yeah. And the way you turn that Overlord around, I don't even think that Deer knows that it was scouted.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
So that's really quick reaction time there to be able to see and then turn around, make sure that Deer may think this is a secret, so if he wants to hide something, he might not actually try to go hunt for the Overlord, but it's already been scouted. And like you said, the Overlord's poking just right around the back so he gets just a little bit of vision. The Overlord has more vision than the Stargate, so you can actually see what's being made without being seen. And I think we're going to see Phoenixes here. We could see Oracles with the Stalker out, but time will tell.
It's going to be a Phoenix opening here. Now, notice he had the Phoenix pointed to the upper right, so I don't think he knows at all about that Overlord there at the upper left. I think he's actually trying to find where that hidden Overlord is. And now the Overlord's going to escape here, so it will be a little bit... Oh, see, I'm sorry, excuse me. He sees the one Overlord above the second. But yeah, I think if the Overlord had revealed itself over there at the upper left, he would have hit that, then gone first, and then gone back there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I completely agree. Ton of scouting Zerglings on the map right now for Soulkey that have speed, and he's checking to make sure there's no forward pylons. Now he's going to use these to control the front of the Protoss player's base a little bit and try to deny any third bases that he may be considering. And unfortunately for him, isn't really very efficient because there's no push coming out, and it's a lot of larvae he spent, so his drone count was a little bit lower than he would have liked for a little bit there. And with this mothership core over here, it's going to synergize pretty well with the Phoenixes. There's no Queen over here just yet, and the bases are not quite connected. He even sends his Zerglings back. That's not going to be useful against the mothership.
Not so much.
Generally not.
Generally not. Now he wants to try to catch a Queen or anything over here at the third. Again, this is just a harass. While the Protoss tech's up now, the Forge is on the way. Zerg are going to get a Hydras, but for the time being, there's not much of an answer beyond Spore Crawlers here.
Yeah, he's basically just making it so his third base can't be mined from.
See a Spore Crawler not rooted yet, stretching his legs. Now, when he does root the Spore Crawler, you can just circle around it, which is why the Spore Crawler alone is generally not enough to really deal with Phoenix harass, for instance.
Yeah, he's got 6 Phoenixes on the map now. He's committed quite a bit to this, so he's going to just tank the Spore, move the weakened Phoenix repeatedly out of the way, then move back into position. If he can catch any drones trying to transfer down, that would be great for him as well. Any Overlords, anything he can find. And again, these Zerglings are still not really useful at anything except denying a third base, but they're not really getting any damage done. If you notice, the Protoss is even ahead in Harvesters right now, 50 to 46, partially due to these Hydras that he's committing to right now. Very drone light at the moment. And still more and more Phoenixes coming out here. He's going to actually be able to fight a small group of Hydras with this many Phoenixes, in fact.
These Phoenixes are already doing so much damage. He might just keep making them. If you start to do a lot of damage early on with the Phoenixes, there's no need to slow down. A lot of times we see players stop at 4.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a ton of damage, you could just keep making them because it ends up in the situation where for the Zerg where he just can't ever catch back up because the amount he's losing is so tremendous.
if you never kill them, they just do more and more together.
Yeah,
because
even with Hydras out here, you can just pick up the Hydras and kill that.
Yeah, and if you start to run out of energy with your first 2 Phoenixes, the Phoenixes that come later just pick up, and the Phoenixes that don't have energy still do damage. And he's going to trade okay here against the Hydras.
Okay.
That was a bit sloppy there.
Yeah, I think that was actually not a trade okay. I mean, he
killed 5 Hydras for 2 Phoenixes, so that's...
Oh, did he kill 5 Hydras?
He killed 5
I'm
Hydras,
sorry. Then you know what? That was a good trade.
It didn't look like he killed that many, but when I saw the units lost,
Okay, yeah, because when we got the screen over there, I was like, well, his Phoenix count's down pretty low. Now the Hydras are going to go up here and try to do some pressure onto Deer's Nexus. Deer does not have any cannons up there yet. The pylon's not even finished.
Yeah, I don't actually really like...
Zealots in combination with the Phoenixes, I think, can handle this, you know?
Yeah, I don't really like Soulkey's position at all because he's way down on Harvesters. And the Zerg player ideally would love to be ahead.
Yeah.
And even perhaps up a base. He has this Hydros army that's not really that useful, especially because the first Colossus is about to pop out. +2 is starting at the same time as +1 is starting for the Hydros. So everything is looking good for Deer right now, and Soulkey's kind of in a desperate place. He's trying to figure out what he can do to get ahead right now.
Nice pick up here. Just keeping Zerg busy in his base. Zerg, you know, at this point in time has a sufficient amount of drones. If he wants to be aggressive, he can. If he wants to macro up a little bit harder, he has that option too. We're going to see what direction he wants to take the game from here.
Yeah. I mean, it's just very annoying for him to deal with these Phoenixes because he doesn't have the ability to move out with his Hydras. That was a bit sloppy there.
And we're going to have Swarm Host play here. And he is going to go for the 4th back here. That's smart because you can stay on 4 bases with Swarm Hosts for a while, and you're completely functional.
And the thing is, Swarm Hosts are very, you know, economy efficient units because you don't trade with them. You trade with the Locusts, which are free, so you can keep fighting the Protoss army and keep pushing the Protoss army back without spending money. So you could build a bank with that to maybe switch into Mutalisk later, or you know, other things like going back into Hive Tech and advancing your tech to the final form for Zerg. So it's even adding a Roach Warren in here as well as the Spire, both.
Protoss is going to edge in here. I don't believe he's going to commit to this attack. There's no real point to doing that just yet here. As you can see, Blink's not done, which is why those Stalkers are taken out so easily.
He like almost saved them, but it was not enough.
Now with the second robotics facility, I really like that. I think he's going to have a very strong number of Colossi.
Just killing more and more Harvesters. These Phoenixes have been so worth their cost this game. He's done so much with them. The Swarm House count now up to 6, making it a little bit more tough for him to commit with that army, so he moves back. Just
like the Zerg's taking the 4th base in the bottom left, the Protoss can do the same thing here in the upper right.
Yeah.
If the Swarm Host play does become too much, which is one very good answer here for Deer in this moment, because a lot of times what the problem with Swarm Hosts for the Protoss is that they can't acquire another base because there's just the presence of free units on the map too much.
Yeah. And that if you get that 4th base up, it's so easy to defend as a Protoss. And it looks like he has things from Zealots over there actually to kill the ice right now, so we will be seeing that pretty soon. Roach Speed coming out here. He's still got that decent Hydra army on the map, making it a little bit tougher for the Phoenixes to fight. But
okay,
wow, is he going to actually get a sentry?
In a sentry? Oh
2
my
sentries.
God.
And force field. Wow, a bit late on that force field, but he's still doing okay here. Zealots versus Zerglings.
Probably would have been a little bit better to have a sentry in there first and then warp in the Zealots all.
Yeah, it looks like he even lost that sentry, or maybe it's still hiding in the Warp Prism.
No, it's still hiding in the Warp Prism.
Okay.
He's got it, and now we see the Protoss army coming down here towards the 3rd.
Just using this as a zoning tactic. You know, he brings the big Zerg part of the army back to the main base while he kills all the tumors, and is going to walk back. The Warp Prism, of course, still around. I think, yeah, it's okay to the north of the base, so he could actually swing that around and then attack the 4th base with that. Very difficult for the Zerg to defend.
Okay, there's a pretty intimidating number of Colossi out now. They do have enough Stalkers underneath them to keep them pretty safe from the number of Corruptors that are up right now.
Yeah.
Oh, God, dear, be careful.
That was close. And enough Corruptors here to deal with the Phoenixes.
Yeah, in fact, he's going to just trap those Phoenixes. Now, with this number of Colossi here as well, you got to keep in mind that even if he does start to lose some, because the Corruptor number is continuing to grow every second, the fact of the matter is that they can still do a good amount of damage. Zerg, by the way, is maxed out here. Phoenix is just doing enough to harass over here at the 4th. Keep that from running too soon. But I got to say, Soulkey's army is now looking pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's been able to stabilize quite a bit. And
Also, you know, it seems like we've already seen 2 screenshots where Deer doesn't seem to be multitasking. The one with the Phoenix is over the 4th base where there's already drones mining he could kill, as well as the Warp Prism. And that's actually the second Warp Prism, by the way.
Yeah.
There's another Warp Prism to the left of where that one's going to be killed.
And you might even see the second one because this actually looks like Soulkey sloppily misses it. So both Warp Prisms are still alive.
Okay, so a little bit of messiness here from both sides, actually. And you know what we're seeing Deer do is actually usually how you see people try to beat a good Terran player is by harassing with zealots all over the place. So he's going to go over the hatchery here. This hatchery 100% will go down.
Yeah, no transfuses nearby, nothing. And this Warp Prism could actually kill his hatchery at the back, so I talked about at the beginning. And there are, in total right now, 7 Colossi on the map. That's so much AoE damage. And he expects, it looks like, that there's going to be attack at the 4th base, so he even sent his army already over there. So this Warp Prism gets chased away and will likely be killed here. Phoenixes look like they will be.
Again, this Warp Prism just still here, but I guess it might not matter. He's going to... Now, with this number of Colossi, I mean, everything just dies as far as Locusts go. Completely vaporized. He's also getting a very large number of Void Rays, or attempting to, so that he can take on the Corruptors as they pop out.
Yeah.
And you know what? He's going to come over here again. Oh, no! Oh, God! Ouch. Yeah, taken out.
Well, I mean, he's now on 4 bases himself, and he's kept the Zerg on 3 for a little while here. And I think this Protoss army might be too big with the Void Rays flying across. Does he have enough Corruptors here to deal with the Colossi? I mean, and the Stalkers underneath, plus the Void Rays?
You know what? Actually, Zerg might have enough Corruptors. Let's see here. He has 13 so far. It will also depend on simply the positioning here of the Protoss' army compared to the Zerg's air army. A counterattack here with these roaches.
I like this a lot. He's going to force Void Rays at home, and he's even going to turn his whole army around. This is exactly what he wants. Meanwhile, Fleet Beacon is on the way.
You know what? Actually, with the Warp with the Zealots, I did try bounce him off of there. And now he's going to try to go to the 3rd base. But, you know, with the Void Ray here, all he has to do is move the probes away. Broodlord's now coming out here. And this is that very powerful endgame army that you see here. Whoa, that Void Ray is leaving there. That was weird.
That was weird.
Oh, you know why? Because the 4th is under attack as well.
Yeah. That Warp Prism looked like it was considering doing his damage. He needs to deal with this harassment. There goes the Warp Prism. Deer is falling apart here a little bit in some ways with his multitasking. Like you were saying before, Soulkey is just not making as many mistakes here when it comes to that. Just some of these control multitasking issues here at the end of the game. I mean, he's lost a lot of probes. He's still ahead in Harvesters, though, 58 to 56. And he's got a decent gas bank, nearly 1,000 now.
Okay, he's coming down now with these Stalkers. Now notice what Protoss has been doing, again, is just taking these small chunks of Protoss army and hitting everywhere. And the reason why I really like that is because a Swarm Host Broodlord army lacks mobility. So it's one of the reasons why we haven't seen the Swarm Hosts and the Broodlords past the halfway marker if we were to cut the map in half diagonally.
Yeah.
They're never really getting past that point until just about now. Now, it doesn't look like Protoss... Well, hold on. I think there's a Warp Prism going to the 2nd here. Am I seeing this right on the minimap?
Something went over
See
there.
it? And that he might be able to punish the Zerg. No, I think that actually just got taken out.
Yeah, I think
it just got, we didn't have a shot of it, but that just got gunned down.
Yeah.
Okay, so now Protoss might try to go around this army, or he might try to engage it head on. But
Storm is almost ready.
A lot of free units here.
Yeah, Storm is almost ready, but can he actually get the Storms off with the Locusts and the Broodlings jumping down his throat? I don't think so, but these Swarm Hosts are actually unburrowed right now. He's got a lot of Void Rays in this army.
Man.
There's no Infestors here. And here we go. No Storms so far. There goes one, but it's not the best Storm we've ever seen. A lot of Void Ray damage here, though, and he needs to connect on those Hydralisks with the Colossi.
There's so many Hydras here. I'm worried about these Void Rays, in fact. I think Soulkey actually might have... Well, where are the Corruptors? Are there no more Corruptors?
Yeah, he lost them all.
He gunned them all down. So actually, there will be enough Void Rays here to kill off these Broodlords. And again, these Broodlords are not nimble units, to say the least. They're not going to get back home easily. So a lot of these Broodlords are going to be gunned down. Zerg right now attempting to take a 6th base.
Those Broodlords are so expensive, tasteless, that he's losing right now. No more anti-air here. No Corruptors. Just a few Hydros on the ground, but there are Colossi to help deal with this. With a Warp in, and a few more High Templar coming up, plus the +2 that's about to finish for the 3 more Void Rays that are popping out. Like his position a lot here, but...
We're running out of expansions, Wolf.
Yeah.
There's not many more places to take on this map. We pretty much have top center for Protoss, bottom center here for Deer.
Yeah. And again, a time warp goes down here, and he's able to catch these swarm hosts. One nice pull there, 2 pulls.
Very nice.
Where are the storms? The first storm goes down. He's still chasing those Broodlords back.
Yeah, the Colossi Void Ray combination is so scary. The Vipers are coming out, but it may be just too late here. The Hydras alone can't take on the Colossi. It's funny because the Voyagers can tank for a very brief amount of time. The
just
damage
enough.
from the Hydras, but yeah, it's just enough. Oh, wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
Just not in range there.
Finally cleans those up, but I mean, basically, Deer, once he eliminated the Corruptors, he's pretty confident to just make more Void Rays and doesn't need any more Colossi because 4 is going to be enough to kill anything on the ground if there are no Corruptors there. Look at the worker count, 70 to 51. And Soulkey is looking like a broken player right now. He has no bank in minerals. He's barely mining right now. You know, the income per minute for Deer is about 400 minerals more. And
yeah.
I mean, he's just ahead in every way, and he's got a composition that's pretty unstoppable right now. I mean, he's going to fight this head-on, and he's going to lose.
Yeah, you know, he just taps out. He beat me to the punch. I was going to say, I think there's no way to stop this army. It's just too good right now. Good job to Deer stopping what few people can stop, a Swarm Host Broodlord army. Now, I have to say, there were no Infestors in there that would have helped out a lot against the Void Rays.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Infestors would have helped out a lot. He had so many Hydras in this composition too, which the longer the game goes on, the later it goes, they kind of lose their usefulness. And their role kind of overlaps a little bit with the Swarm Hosts. They're both just range dealing units. Of course, the Hydras can attack air, but only if they can get past those Colossi, which is what part of the reason the Broodlords are there for, but he didn't have enough Corruptors, and then he lost all of his Broodlords in that one engagement. That was just too hard to recover from. That's way too much